In module 35, we will discuss research-based teaching. In this module, we will discuss how the teacher can use the research and what are the patterns of the research and what way the teachers can get benefit of the research-based teaching. The idea of the research-based teaching basically came from UK by Lawrence Stenhouse's about their emphasis was that the teacher as a researcher, the teacher should not be the transmitter of the knowledge, but the teacher should be the researcher. And as such, it came from the part of reformation of the action research, and the action research was considered as the integral part of the teaching and learning process, and the action research concept was basically in UK during 1940s, and the reformulation of this concept was occurred in UK, and that brought the very new concept that the teaching based on research. This is a paradigm shift, that action research, that was one of the component and taken as one of the competencies or the skill that the teacher should possess, but the teaching based on research, that is completely a paradigm shift. And as the action research that was introduced in the UK in 1940s, that was based on Levin's field theory. Basically, field theory is one of the theories for the research, and that formed the Levin's theory basically formed the basis of social psychology. And the Levin's field theory provided an epistemological ideas that directly linked with the non-positivist science, that how the ideas are generated, how the knowledge is created, what are the bases of the knowledge, and that was based on the human behavior with democratic social practices. What kind of the human behavior is there, and what kind of the social practices be provided in a special pattern of the human behavior, then the knowledge can be produced and reproduced. Therefore, the Levin's cast produced and introduced a new science of the human behavior, and that was called the action science. And the basically the basis of the Levin's action research was studying things by changing them in natural situation. What is the natural situation? And keeping them in the natural situation or changing their natural situation, how can we understanding that phenomena? That was the Levin's basic work or the concept. The Levin's cyclical models shows the interactive process in which research informs action and actions inform research. Through actions, you create research. On the basis of the research, you create actions. That was cyclical procedure or the process or the method. Therefore, the action research was considered as a cooperative venture between researchers and the teachers. And the teachers are the researchers, and the researchers are the teachers. If they are separate, and at one time I am playing the role of the researcher, and at the same time subsequently I am playing the role as a teacher, then what should be the reciprocity and what kind of the joint venture should prevail? And this ultimately aimed eventually enabling teachers to research and self-evaluate their teaching independently. Because of the joint venture between the teaching and the research that helps in evaluating the teaching, how efficiently and effectively the teaching as a process is going on. research-based teaching as a pedagogical innovation. The pedagogical innovations uh, took place as a result of the research-based teaching, because while teaching based on the research and the research based on the teaching, that as we cleared that the psychological process, research based on actions and actions based on teaching, based on research. For a while, if we say that the teaching is an action, research is a theory, research is a guidelines or roadmap, that through the teaching we can implement that one. So the pedagogical innovations came from this type of the research-based models, research-based teaching, and that and this we can say it further argues that how to teach factual knowledge and realization of discussion-based classroom. For the research-based teaching, this kind of the questions and situation prevails. The idea of the research-based teaching would prevail if this type of the activities, for example, what kind of the how we can teach factual knowledge, factual which are some are theoretical, some are ideological, some are the factual knowledge, and what kind of the interactions and the events and inputs should a teacher provide to the students are in the teaching learning process. Therefore, the curriculum change context is important. In what way the curriculum should be changed and in what way the curriculum has been changed, and this gives the shape to the teaching based on the research or the research-based teaching. Stenhouse in 1975 did not associate research-based teaching. He has not associated that the research-based teaching creates the good curriculum, or the curriculum's basis are the research-based. It is also based on the further says that the improvement in teachers' technical knowledge about how transmit traditional knowledge subject matter, and knowledge based on the factual and the facts are the factual positions. Therefore, the Stenhouse has further indicated the implications for pedagogy, how the pedagogy could be effective, in what way the pedagogy get benefit of the research-based teaching or the research-based evidences. The basic notion of the Stenhouse was research-based teaching that has a link with the curriculum development and the professional development of the teachers. Another aspect is research-based teaching as a generalization of findings. Research-based teaching, I teach on the basis of my research. Here concept need to be further cleared. My teaching, when I teach any subject, English or social studies, my teaching should be based on the research. Research-based teaching means yesterday I taught this concept to my students by using different methods and procedures and pedagogies and strategies. Were that effective or not? If it was effective, then how can it be used for this other subject or other topic or other lessons or other chapters? So this is called the research-based teaching. My yesterday's experiences, my yesterday's methods, and how can I teach it in the different context and the different type of the students, and how can I, for example, on the basis of one class, one subject and one semester, I researched and I found that this type of the interactions and the input and the methods and the procedures are the effective. How can I use in the different settings, and how can I generalize my things, and how can one other can get benefit of my things, and it is applicable with the other teachers and other settings and other students. Research-based teaching is a generic approach to the curriculum reforms. On the basis of the research-based teaching means today I used this method of teaching, tomorrow I will be using, should I need to change this method or should I not change this method? So this kind of the inquiry or the explorations helps in changing the curriculum, reform the curriculums, and it helps the meaningful engagement of the students with the new objects of the learning. If it is research-based teaching and it is that the curriculum is produced on the basis of the research-based teaching, then it helps the students for the effective learning. Research-based teaching as a linkage between theory and the practice. On the basis of research-based teaching, I cleared the concept. We can, it is how it is a linkage, how it helps in creating the linkage between theory and the practice. For example, theoretically says these are the merits of the lecture-based lecture method, and these are the demerits of the lecture methods. These are the merits of the discussion methods. These are the demerits of the discussion methods. And I have to practice both type of the methods in the classroom on the basis what is the theory about that method and how I am practicing as a practice, what is the resultant, what is the really result, that should be that should be linked as a theory with the practice. The practitioner research. This is again a new concept, that is action-based research and action-based teaching, action research, field theory, and the practitioner research. Teacher is a practitioner, and as a practitioner, what kind of the research? Action research that happens in the class. As a research-based teaching, on the basis of that corrections and the teachers, on the basis of that interactions and the exposures and the practices, what kind of the improvement and changes the teacher is adopting. This is another concept. As a practitioner research, the teacher, by practicing and teaching, he evolves, he contains some sort of the thinking, some sort of the experiences, and he adopts in the practice. We can say that the research-based teaching carries a set of the meaning. Research-based teaching has different meanings and set of the meanings. The teachers as researchers movement, there was a movement throughout the world that the teacher as a researcher results to cut off in the course of its adoption to the logic of the instrumental rationality and the currently prevails in education. That what is instrumental rationality? How the research should be based on the teaching, how the teaching should be based on the research. This is instrumental rationality. What should be the how we can get the evidence of both of the inputs or both of the processes.